When you think of two-sport athletes, the first two that come to mind are without question Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson. It's been decades since they played, but they have left a large legacy behind them as they were extremely fun to watch. But those two were so big that I think they've left a looming legacy that is extremely hard to top amongst two-sport athletes, both past and present. But believe me, there are others who definitely deserve their props. And we're going to talk about one of them today. When Deion Sanders was selected with the 5th overall pick in the 1989 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons, a lot of people forget that the franchise also acquired another two-sport star at the time, although he was drafted by another team at first. With the 173rd pick in the 7th round of the 1989 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Brian Jordan, defensive back, Richmond. The city of Baltimore has produced some tremendous athletes over the years, but in my opinion, Brian Jordan doesn't get enough props he deserves. The son of both a school teacher and a steelworker, his mother and father instilled those hard-working values from a very early age. Not only did they instill that work ethic, but also, most importantly, moral values. His mother taught him what bullying was and how it negatively impacted children. So growing up, he used his athletic ability to help those dealing with bullies in his school. He was not only a star off the field, but certainly on it, in both baseball and football. He excelled as a two-sport star at Milford Mill Academy. While the local Division I school, that being the University of Maryland, was interested, it was actually the University of Richmond in Virginia that he decided to go to. Why? Because that school was the only one interested in him playing both sports. To say he was good in college would be an understatement. Brian Jordan is a University of Richmond legend, where he started for 3 years in both football and baseball. In football, he started at cornerback for 3 years, where he had 224 career tackles along with 11 interceptions. He was also the team's punt returner, as he had 60 returns for just under 700 yards and was named All-Yankee Conference player all 3 seasons. In his sophomore year, he was second team, while during his junior and senior season, he was named to first team. But it was playing baseball at the university that led him to his first opportunity in the pros. He had a batting average of .321 with 32 home runs and 57 stolen bases. He set a school record in 1988 with 66 runs scored and 27 stolen bases, and was named first team all-conference in his senior year.
Being focused, being determined, being dedicated, and that's what made me a winner in life.
While those stats were great, it was actually an exhibition game where one of the professional baseball teams took notice. When Richmond played a local AAA Braves affiliate, a St. Louis Cardinals scout happened to be watching. He approached Jordan with the idea of joining their affiliate team and seeing if he could eventually make the team. His response? I told him I would sign on one condition. I needed to graduate first and wanted to play my redshirt junior year in football. After his college career was over, he was selected in the supplemental first round with the 30th pick to the St. Louis Cardinals as an outfielder, making him a professional baseball player first. But baseball is a lot different than football, as you have to work your way through the minor league system before getting a shot at the big leagues. So while he's working his way up to the major leagues, football didn't forget about him. In the 7th round of the 1989 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills took him, but unfortunately, he was cut during training camp. However, another team took a chance on him. The Atlanta Falcons, who I mentioned earlier, had their own two-sport athlete in Deion Sanders. Now, when Brian Jordan made the team, they had 2. Now, you're probably thinking at this point that the reason Brian Jordan isn't remembered as one of the best two-sport athletes is because he maybe only excelled in one professionally. That's not the case.
Who has it? Brian Jordan has it.
After making the Falcons roster in 1989, it became clear right away that he wasn't going to make it as a corner. They already had Deion Sanders and some other veterans in that backfield, so his best chance to make the roster would be at safety. In his rookie season, he appeared in 4 games, but that would pale in comparison to what was to come over the next 2 seasons. In 1990, he started in 15 games at strong safety. Think about that. A 7th round draft pick in his 2nd season found his way into the starting lineup on the Atlanta Falcons. And it's not like this was some scrub team he was starting for. This was during the too legit to quit era. This was not only one of the most talented teams in franchise history, but one of the most entertaining in all of football history.
But all you gotta do is fall down. The game's over. Oh, I know, but they don't think that way.
We're talking about a cast of characters that included Deion Sanders, Andre Rison, and of course you can't forget head coach Jerry Glanville. And even at one point, Brett Favre was on the team. This era of Atlanta Falcons football is credited for helping put the franchise on the map. And Brian Jordan played a major role in that turnaround while he was working his way up to the major leagues. 1991 would turn out to be his best season in professional football, as it mirrored the Falcons' turnaround as he helped the team go 10-6 and make the playoffs. He not only led the team in tackles, but was named as a Pro Bowl alternate. So didn't quite make the Pro Bowl, but still was considered for it. He certainly contributed in their wild card win against the New Orleans Saints, but in their loss to the eventual Super Bowl champion Washington Redskins, he ended up intercepting a pass from the eventual Super Bowl MVP quarterback Mark Rippon. In the 2 seasons he started, he had 5 interceptions combined, led the team in tackles for the season, and was named as a Pro Bowl alternate. You would think the sky would be the limit for him in professional football, but little did anyone know at the time that this would end up being his final game in the NFL. The St. Louis Cardinals were ready to move him up to the major leagues and signed him to a 3-year, $2.4 million guaranteed contract with a signing bonus of $1.7 million. There was only one small catch. The St. Louis Cardinals wanted him to play baseball exclusively. Meanwhile, the Falcons were going to offer Jordan between $400,000 to $500,000 annually in a series of 9 guaranteed contracts. His agent at the time said the Falcons sensed the urgency. They knew what the numbers were, and there was no way they were going to offer Brian the type of money it would take to keep him in football. There are no hard feelings. We'll tell that to Deion Sanders because he certainly took it the hardest. I can't believe he gave up football. Doesn't he realize there are baseball and football players who make $6 million a year? Then Brian's agent responded saying, if Deion could get $6 million for Brian, I think I'll ask him to be our Southeast representative. While there were no hard feelings from both sides, looking back, that was one of the many cracks beginning to form in the Atlanta Falcons turnaround. The too legit to quit era really only lasted a season, as this particular Falcons group never returned to the playoffs. Meanwhile, Jordan began his Major League Baseball career as he debuted for the St. Louis Cardinals on April 8th, 1992. And to put a long story short, he ended up having a very long career in professional baseball.
First ball hitting Brian Jordan, deep center field. Way back, Hamilton there. Goodbye, home run, or off the wall. Home run, 1-1. Brian Jordan on the first pitch of Rick Reed to deep center field, 400 feet away.
As he ended up playing in the major leagues for 15 seasons for 4 different franchises, which included the St. Louis Cardinals, the Atlanta Braves twice, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Texas Rangers. He went on to have a solid career in Major League Baseball, as over 15 seasons he was a career .282 hitter with 184 home runs and 821 RBI. He not only helped the Atlanta Braves win the National League pennant and reach the World Series in 1999, but he also made his only All-Star game that same year. After retiring in 2006, he remained very active in the Atlanta community, starting up the Brian Jordan Foundation. He also went on to publish a series of children's books, including I Told You I Can Play and Time Out for Bullies. He was also an Atlanta Braves commentator for a little while.
Hi, I'm Brian Jordan, and you're watching Braves Baseball on SportsCenter.
but continues to do a lot of work in the Atlanta community. Brian Jordan certainly had one of the most interesting professional sports careers anybody can have. I know everyone always wants to bring up Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson for playing both sports at the same time, but even though he was in the minor leagues playing baseball, technically Brian Jordan was a two-sport athlete at one point, but in the end decided to make a pure business decision to stick to one, and it ended up being the right one as he lasted for more than a decade, as well as accomplishing significant success in both. A 7th round draft pick being a Pro Bowl alternate in their 3rd season is unheard of. And then that same athlete goes on to play for 15 straight seasons in the MLB? I tried to play baseball once and was completely horrible, but Brian Jordan made it look easy. He's not only been inducted into the University of Richmond Athletics Hall of Fame, but also the Missouri State Athletics Hall of Fame. While he's not the most well-known two-sport athlete amongst the likes of Bo Jackson and his former teammate Deion Sanders, Brian Jordan still deserves his flowers as being not only one of the best two-sport athletes to ever do it on the professional level, but also being one of the greatest human beings ever.
If I ever reach my dreams, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give kids hope. When I go into these schools and when I can sit there and say, how many of you kids are like me, no confidence in reading, and I see all these hands go up. Oh my goodness, I was so scared. And when the teacher goes around and say, hey, who wants to read next? I used to put my head down. I used to play like I was sick because I was too scared to read. I had no confidence as a kid reading, and I want to share that with the kids so that hopefully those who were like me that don't have confidence will get that confidence and become successful readers and have hope that they can be successful. When the kids come up to me and hug me afterwards, that means so much to me because sometimes it just takes a hug.